right, all right. Hey, hey. All right, guys. Just so you guys know, I am going to go ahead and just do something really quick here. Um, I will likely not get any other zodiacs done tonight. I'm sorry. I'm still just kind of, tired and not quite myself yet. And I was hoping that I was totally back to normal, but I'm not. So, with that in mind, I am going to go ahead and just keep this a little bit brief. So, zodiacs, please forgive me that I only got through 3 or 4 zodiacs today. That was not my intention, but that's just how it went. But I want to come back hopefully a little stronger tomorrow. So, I'm going to just do. I keep feeling like I'm missing some message, and so I wanted to go ahead and get one message out, whatever it may be. I don't know what it is, but it feels like I missed something important. And so let's just go with a generalized. I'll call out zodiacs as I see them, but got a Knight of Cups. There's somebody who's got a heartfelt energy. I don't know that this cat is not actually moving, so I don't know if somebody is moving forward, but their heart is certainly speaking volumes right now. Hi, Platinum. Great to see you, love. We got the Page of Cups in the reverse. There's an energy of wanting to give an emotional offer, follow one's heart, but then this energy of I don't know how to begin is perhaps the message. EM Bell, great to see you, love. The Death card. It's, again, we see the heart really, really visible. It feels like there's been some tremendous change in a character. The version of them that they used to be is not the version of them that they are at this point. Everything in their life has been brought down to the ground. And in this case, it's a positive thing. Endings sometimes are not positive, but in this storyline, we have a character who finally found their heart, but it was at the cost of, kind of having many, many things in their life come to an end, a collapse right down to their ego, their old persona. But they found their heart. Tell me, why are they struggling with that Page of Cups in the reverse? Why are they struggling with not knowing what to even say? Where is that coming from? 10 of Swords is sideways. If this character has become a different person at this point, then how do they address the person that they even used to be, especially everything that happened back when they were that person of the past? This feels like somebody either had a pretty heinous past, maybe they weren't very kind, maybe they weren't someone very respectable, maybe this can be an ugly card where somebody puts 10 swords in everybody's back, someone who's untrustworthy, somebody who was really going down the wrong path. So how do you say sorry for that when that would be so inadequate, is almost the way this is feeling. When did this happen? Tell me, what is going on with this character? When did they suddenly have this massive transformation in their world? Andrea, Chrissy, Slave Princess, thanks for being here, everybody. Page of Wands, 9 of Pentacles. I'm going to say it's pretty recent, only because we keep getting some pages in this storyline, right? Pages are the children of the deck. They're not super evolved yet. They haven't become, even the knights and the kings and the queens and the emperors and empresses. So I'm going to say this is fairly recent. And specifically, the Page of Wands is the first step toward a new, interest or hobby or exciting, moment of clarity and inspiration. So I'm going to say this is very new. This person is suddenly single. That's part of what has changed in their life. So they may have left a previous relationship or connection and suddenly become single. So what is this energy of the 10 of Swords, that they don't know how to begin an apology, even though they know that their heart wants to take them someplace, but they don't know what to say? How do you address a 10 of Swords? 2 of Wands. How do they address the fact that at one point in time, they didn't know which path to take? At one point in time, I'm going to say that when faced with a choice, this person chose wrong once upon a time. What is it that they chose once upon a time? A Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. They either chose a karmic or they chose to abandon a Queen of Pentacles and not give to her or reject her offer. What was the path that they did choose? Four of Cups in the reverse. Well, at the time, they thought they were choosing the path that they wouldn't regret. Okay, so wait, how has that whole situation flipped? I don't understand. Nine of Wands. Well, so this is a character that actually needed to escape something, right? And we see this cat who escaped the volcano and swam across the sea, and it's all bedraggled. This is a character who's been, RT, thank you, love. This is a character who's been exhausted. This is, a Nine of Wands is a wounded warrior. I said, how did this all change? And it says they finally escaped the choices that they made, but has everything in their life gone topsy-turvy? Did they choose something that, tell me more about the path that they did choose instead of me asking. Let me just, Four of Swords, they chose a path that they thought was going to be good. Maybe they wanted to, this is so weird and so specific, but they thought they could heal something else in their life if they chose this other pathway. They thought they could heal a relationship with somebody. Maybe they thought they could heal something that it was toxic. It was not good for them. But it was something that had wounded them. It was a long, long time wound. And I say that because we have the dahlias, the really, really long blooming flowers. Three of Cups, Queen of Wands, and the Sun. This is so strange because the path that they chose was supposed to be a path of healing, a path that would bring them unity. It would make a Queen of Wands feel great. It would make them feel great. Everything was going to be perfect. And they chose this path because in this case, it all seemed like if I don't choose that, I'll have a big regret. So I have to choose the pathway that, thank goodness, this is going to be right. I'm going to go down this road instead. And it turned out to be the exact opposite, is what I'm thinking. What happened when they chose that path that was supposed to be perfect and the Queen of Wands was going to love them and everything was going to be happy and there would be all this healing and they would be healed? Okay, then I'm guessing all hell broke loose because the High Priestess is here saying then the secrets were more visible. There was lots and lots and lots that was hidden. And maybe part of what was hidden is the fact that they were so wounded. We got the Page of Swords in the reverse and we got the Death card upright. They found out things they didn't know, things they didn't know to even look for, things that darn near crushed them. But you know what? In a bizarre way, it's a good thing that they chose this other path. No, this other path did not turn out to be what they thought it was, right? It was not healing. It was not happiness. It was not sunshine. It was basically, they may have just chosen the Queen of Cups to reconcile with maybe somebody from their past that they thought was, someone who they had a difficult connection with, but now there was another chance and she was going to love them. And she was so happy that they were back and it was going to be so wonderful. And instead, it turned out to be the final nail in the coffin for that relationship. Things that they hadn't seen before, things they didn't even know to look for. It took a chunk of them, though. It took a big piece of their heart. It took a big piece and unraveled them. They actually had to escape the pathway that they thought was so wonderful, the person that they thought they were going to reconcile with that was going to be so fabulous. Okay, so tell me, because the other pathway was the Queen of Pentacles, right? And she was in the reverse. So they either vilified her, cast her out, decided she wasn't the right path, and instead that Queen of Wands, who smelled like roses, looked so good, everything was going to be so happy, that turned out to be a freaking nightmare. All the things that they couldn't see about her, all the things they couldn't see about that connection, all the things that they hadn't noticed that were going to tear them to ribbons. That's a path they actually chose. Okay, but what about the Queen of Pentacles path? That was a path not chosen from the way we've been telling this. That's where their karma sits. So, and I'm guessing that it sits that way because I think that they may have vilified her. They may have turned her into the monster that they would not choose, because that justice is there for a reason. They did. Now it makes more sense. Let's remember, the whole reason I started asking this line of questioning is, I don't get it. What's the deal with, there's no way I could even begin to say I'm sorry? Because they're not trying to say sorry because it's too big. This isn't a sorry won't do. This 10 of swords, a 10 swords in somebody's back. I'm thinking right now, to simplify this story, that we have a character who, I'm going to say this tomcat. I only say that because the majority of cats that are orange are toms. So our tomcat, we see him coming out as an orange boy a couple different times here also. He must have vilified a Queen of Pentacles in a really, really, really big way and dumped her like a hot rock, is what I'm thinking. So that he could go back or get with some Queen of Wands who he thought would heal something inside of him, who he thought it was going to be so happy. He was so happy to be with her. And all that turned out to be something he actually had to escape. He chose her because he was wounded. The problem is he did that other Queen of Pentacles really dirty. He may have said unkind things about her, untrue things about her. You don't get the Justice card sitting there for no reason. And with this Knight of Pentacles sideways, there's a part of his conscience that knew what he was doing. He knew it for quite a while. But this is still what he chose to do. This is the story he had to tell in order to, be able to justify choosing this Queen of Wands, who is supposed to be oh so wonderful. So he did real dirty to a Queen of Pentacles, unfortunately. King of Cups, the Tower, and the High Priest. And the craziest part is he should have married the Queen of Pentacles. It's really nuts that he actually did love the Queen of Pentacles somewhere or someplace inside of himself, but that's not who he picked. And now it's pretty obvious that's who now that he's chosen the wrong one, now that he's done the right one dirty, now he's made a mess of everything. He collapsed this completely, but so too has his ego gone. But at this point, it's so obvious. It's as obvious as the nose on his face. She was the right one. And I went back to a Karmic I accused the right one of being the Karmic, and I went to an actual Karmic. I'm surprised we don't have the devil or the moon or, some real cards of deep confusion and toxicity. Let me just ask this. Why did he think that this, we saw earlier that he said, well, this I don't want to regret. I don't want to miss out on the chance to be with this, this Queen of Wands. But why did you think that that was the right path? I'm just curious. The Emperor and the World in the reverse. Basically he was, for some reason, his status was wrapped up in this. He was not over her at any point in time. So basically he probably should not have ever even met a Queen of Pentacles when he was still hooked up on that Queen of Wands. He still wanted to be either married to her, or his ego, his persona. He thought he was like an emperor as long as she loved him. And if she said she wanted him back, then no wonder he was like, oh, see, now it's all going to be perfect. I'm going to feel like an emperor. We're going to be together. She's going to be so happy. I'm going to be so happy. Everything's going to be great. So that's who I'm going to pick instead, because my ego needs that. So what was your relationship with the Queen of Pentacles, though? I don't even understand. How had you met her, or was she somebody else you were dating in the interim, or what? Seven of Wands, Three of Swords. All I can say is that she is somebody that he pushed away on purpose, fought off any kind of feelings that he had for her, but broke her heart in the process. But I still don't get, how did you meet her, or what was your deal with her? Why does she even exist in this story? We have got the Six of Swords. We've got the Empress, the real Empress. We got the Ace of Wands. We got the Ace of Pentacles. Oh my God. Okay, so the universe gifted him the chance to meet a true Empress, right? He exited the connection, told himself he was getting over that Queen of Wands, right? He moves forward. He meets a true Empress. He has passion with a true Empress. This is his chance at a new beginning. And then he does a flip. And he pushes away the true Empress, who happens to be the Queen of Pentacles, says she's a Karmic, treats her awful, so that he can go racing back over to that Queen of Wands. How? Why? I mean, how did the Queen of Wands, did she reel him back in? Not saying it's her fault, it's his fault, right? This is all his choices. So we're not going to blame any feminines for somebody else's behavior. Everybody has to own their own behavior, right? Why'd the Queen of Wands want to be back with him? You know, why'd that happen? Why did the Queen of Pentacles get with him? You know, everybody has to own their own actions in this. We're not going to blame other people for what individuals did. But everything was a lie. He never wanted to be over and done with. I mean, Seven of Swords says he never was actually done with that Queen of Wands. He had no intention of being done with the Queen of Wands. But then he did meet somebody really wonderful, and then he treated her like garbage and rushed back. So this was all him doing this. It's not that the Queen of Wands called him back in. He must have pursued getting back with the Queen of Wands, which was always his intention. Okay, I can see why an apology would never be enough, because this was just a person that was, you know, if we step back from this story and we say, okay, so it's one of those classic stories where, you know, I don't even want to say hurt people, because what this really is somebody hadn't closed down a chapter. They were still in love with somebody else, for better or for worse, no matter how toxic it was, no matter what it was. He wanted to be with the Queen of Wands, but he was trying to pretend that he wasn't going to be with her, when all along he was lying to himself. So then he goes out and he hurts somebody else. And unfortunately, it was somebody that was wonderful. It was somebody that was the right person for him. He met somebody that was an amazing, true Empress. And all this time he wanted to be an emperor, but he was picking somebody that isn't an Empress. He should have chosen the Queen of Pentacles. He met the real deal. And then he treated her like this. So what happens when characters don't close doors properly, when they aren't honest with themselves, when they won't admit, look, if you're not done with somebody, maybe don't go getting with somebody else. You know, you got no business clinging to somebody from the past and then meeting somebody else who you're going to be dishonest with. He was dishonest with himself. Then he was dishonest about, because he had to vilify the Queen of Pentacles in order to justify what he was going to do right from the beginning, which is he was never over that Queen of Wands. And on one hand, we can totally have compassion. Okay, so he wasn't over the Queen of Wands. You know, you can't make a heart be over it when it's not over it. But what you don't have a right to do is vilify somebody else. That's unfortunately, that's where that justice card comes in. And that's why he's got the bad karma. So with this storyline being what it is, oh, he knows now. Ooh, he knows now. He's a changed person at this point, right? Everything is different for him now. The old version of him, probably the person that he is today, wouldn't do such a thing. He got burned down to ashes being with that person from the past. He had to escape that connection with that Queen of Wands, which is ironic because the Queen of Wands in his mind was, you know, like beautiful, right? She didn't, like, her BO didn't smell. But that's not the case. Victoria Knox, thank you, Angel. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay. Tell me about this. Tell me just about the Queen of Wands. Ace of Swords. Okay, so that's it. That's like all they wrote. They are not dealing with the Queen of Wands anymore. She is not dealing with them. That Ace of Swords is, they are cut out of her life. She, ironically, walked away from him. So hang on. So she's been a Queen of Wands, and now she's a Queen of Swords. It made it sound like, wow, he had to escape her. Like, ooh, she was terrible. This says, no, she wasn't. It says she cut them out of her life. Hang on. What happened? Nine of Wands. Maybe she looked at them and said, you're the one who's got all the wounds. Look, they've come out as a wounded warrior already. They've come out as the wounded warrior here as well. So is this somebody who, did he bounce around from one feminine to the other, wanting people to prop him up and heal his wounds? His, hers, please remember, this could be all same sex. This could be reverse gender roles, does not matter. This could be, two dudes, one woman, doesn't matter. But Eight of Wands. She saw him as wounded, and wow, she saw the real him. Wounded, and I'm wondering, did he actually have a click in his head at some point, even though he picked her and she was going to be fabulous, and then instead he wanted the Queen of Pentacles back? Did he, because this is about moving forward, conversing, going in a different route, different direction, and revealing something big. So the Queen of Wands discovered something about him. He is still a wounded individual. She's the one who walked away from him in this. So the person that he bounced on the Queen of Pentacles to go back to the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands then saw something real about him and said, time out. That's all she wrote. We're all done. We got the Sun, but it's in the reverse. And we got the Two of Swords in the reverse. I got to say, in this storyline, for the Sun and the Moon to be in the reverse, I'm starting to wonder if maybe, because there is no harmony here between the masculine and the feminine energies. There is no complementary energy. And I'm wondering if she just told him how it was. She definitely said something straightforward. The Queen of Wands, who they picked because it was all going to be roses, she said something real to them and bounced, and she walked away. And it has much to do with the fact that she said, it's not even about you and how you might have felt about the Queen of Pentacles. It's there can't be balance. You have a lot of healing to do. Maybe you're trying to run away from the healing that you need to do. And I've seen it and I know it. So there's never going to be balance. There's never going to be happiness. Is that why he's out, trying out all the different ladies and then saying, well, I'm not happy here, so she must be the problem. So let me jump over here and she's going to be wonderful. Oh, how come it's still not happy? It's because it was all about himself. Is that what that boiled down to? Because this Queen of Wands does not look like a terrible person at all. She looks fantastic. Give me one more to clarify this. Page of Pentacles. He's got to build a relationship with himself first. At the very foundational level, he's got to give just to himself. The problem is he holds this little fox like it's his bestie. I'm wondering if this person has a way of always, I'm almost thinking that he's been a bit of a lost soul. Somebody who doesn't really know himself. So he bounces around to the different ladies, trying to get different people to give him the love that he's lacking for himself. Maybe there's an inherent, I'm so sorry to describe this character this way, but if there's an inherent, slyness to this person, there's always going to be, if things aren't going his way, it'll be somebody else's fault. And he'll be like slyly looking for some other place to go and build, someplace who this person will treat me better. I'm not happy yet, so it must be your fault. So let me go over there instead. You know, looking at where is the source of unhappiness coming from and discovering that it's in our own self because we're the wounded ones. It almost feels like that's what his real journey has been. But he did not have success with that Queen of Wands who became the Queen of Swords. And so maybe he escaped her giving him that feedback. You know, we're never going to be happy. You don't really want to hear me tell you the truth, which is you have a wound you have to go fix. I'm wondering, look, if he was sly at any point in time, and that's the behavior that he's developed in himself, then she may have spotted it in him already. And a Queen of Wands isn't going to put up with that any more than a Queen of Pentacles will. It's funny because it looked like he had to escape her. And it turns out, no, maybe that's just what he does, is he says he has to escape these terrible feminines when, at least in this story, I don't see them as terrible feminines. It keeps saying that he's the common denominator in this. Okay, but he's had a big change, right? He's started to see himself differently. He's had that death card has come in, and he's had the transformation. So what happens at this point? Remember we started out with the Knight of Cups, though, where it was like, I'm ready to go find somebody else to love. Well, with that death card, though, it does say it's the end of, and he's kind of got this fallen angel look right here, right? So maybe he's finally had that moment of like, okay, I struck out a whole bunch of times and I am the common denominator because I keep trying to blame other people for what I'm not doing well instead of looking at what they're all telling me, the same feedback. I have a wound, and maybe it's the way I try to not look at it is I try to slyly push it off onto somebody else, vilify somebody else. Because things are crashing down for him. In a good way, though, right? It's a painful ending, yes, but it's the end of an era of a behavior that was no good because he was a liar. In this, and we saw him as a liar. So lying to yourself is probably not going to be the quickest way to get happy, right? Okay, so let me see. Let's go back to that Knight of Cups. We go right back to him saying, I really want happiness. That's what he's always wanted, right? But it's always been the elusive thing. And I'm thinking, because it's him that doesn't really truly commit. It's him that if there's anything at all that doesn't make him feel really safe and warm and cuddly, then he'll find a way to say, well, you're a jerk and I'm going to go find somebody else. Instead of realizing that in relationships, we will have ups and downs, but we'll also work on stuff. I don't know, maybe after that death card, after that big transformation, after that 10 of Swords, maybe he is getting to the point where he's realizing you gotta, like, to be happy does require that you put your energy in, that you pick a person that you really feel something for, and that you don't instantly try to turn them into a villain the first time there's any kind of a problem. I mean, there's always that fine line, though, right? Between, are we having a problem that can be solved, or is this a sign of huge, dysfunction and all kinds of terrible stuff, and we are not good together, and I should get away from this? Well, the biggest thing here is that he needed to be healed enough so that he could evaluate that fairly. Because if he's always going to scapegoat somebody else, he's never going to have the happiness. He'll just bounce from partner to partner to partner, and he'll always have the same sob story about, oh yeah, my ex, she was awful. Oh, and then the ex before that, she was even worse. And then the ex before that, she was a villain. And it'll always be somebody did them dirty in every single relationship. And there will never be anybody that ever treated them any good. They'll have just the misfortune of always picking somebody who turned out to be so mean. If that's the story that you want to keep telling, then they're not going to probably ever get out of that loop. But this says that they are getting out of that loop. This says that they really want to. It says that with that death card that we saw, they have transformed. That this is all about healing. This is about them kind of now wanting to fight for a really good connection. I don't know. What does that mean in regards to, if they feel like I can't possibly apologize, an apology isn't going to be enough? Does this mean that they're never going back to say sorry that I behaved that way toward you, Queen of Pentacles? Are they just thinking, I've learned now and I'm going to move on? See, I don't know, because, oh, Sandy, thank you so much. I don't know, because we have this with the Justice card. sitting over her. I don't know that you can get away with just dumping that and not coming back around to fix it, because I think their bad karma is going to keep showing up in their life. In this story, though, I don't think they're actually going to get the opportunity to come back in to say sorry to her, because I think that that Queen of Pentacles is about to match up with the right person for herself. I don't know where the heck the card went now. This is them still holding back, and this is a King of Pentacles coming in. Their karma in this storyline is to watch the Queen of Pentacles, who they vilified unfairly, who was actually an empress. She's going to end up with somebody that's a terrific match for her. And I kind of feel like they don't get another shot with her. This is holding back, but holding on. This is them kind of still, I don't know if this person travels a lot for work, if making connections, sincere connections, and being generous. See, inherently, maybe this person has always been a little stingy, a little selfish. Maybe it's always about them. It's about the way they do life, and they want somebody else to like click into their life like a Lego piece. And, you know, we don't have to feed or water Lego people, right? They're just plastic. Maybe that's the way they've treated relationships quite a bit. I know all I can say is that Queen of Pentacles has, with that karma card that we had for that Queen of Pentacles, I didn't think of it this way, but the karma that's going to get settled for her is just, she has somebody wonderful coming in her life, and I don't see them getting another chance with her. Maybe that's the other reason they're like, well, I've done too much wrong. It's not like I could come in and say, hey, I'm really sorry that I vilified you so that I could dump you and go to somebody else, who, by the way, I then also had a conflict with, and she told me that the problem is me, and she dumped me. And now I've had a transformation, and now I know that I blew it with the kind of relationships I wanted to have. And I treated you badly. He's not going to get the chance to come in and say that to that Queen of Pentacles, because the Queen of Pentacles is going to be swept up by somebody else before he gets that chance, before he gets back to her. I feel like it's in the next 4 months that Queen of Pentacles is ending up with somebody else. What happens to the Queen of Wands? What happens to the Queen of Wands? Two of Pentacles and the Moon. You know, we saw her shift into the Queen of Swords energy and leave him in the past. But we see her kind of either trying to decide between two lovers and not knowing what to do, or her juggling other things in her own life. But she's kind of out of the picture. We really can't see her. The moon is hiding her. We just know she's got other fish to fry. She was real decisive that she was done and she was gone and she wasn't dealing with them anymore. So apparently we can't see what happens in her life. Let me go one more time. Queen of Swords. She is blocking him like crazy. She does not want to talk to him. She's Queen of Swords all day long. I don't need to tell anybody my business. No. I don't want to hear from you. No. I don't need a resurrection of a connection. No. I really don't think of him very much at all. No. I don't want him to think of me. I'd like to go incognito and have him forget we ever met. Like, she is done with this. Okay. And so now finally, what is it that happens then for him? He's learned some pretty big lessons, right? But what happens for him? Six of Swords. He's finally moving on from those kind of pains and the things that made him behave the way he did. He's finally shifting forward. These, whatever it was that was making him behave this way, was probably inner child stuff, because we've got adults and then we also got a kiddo here. He's moving on and he is working on becoming an emperor, which is who he always wanted to be. But it's like he wanted the title without actually having the qualifications for it. It kind of looks like everybody works out. Everybody turns out better for having, like gone through this. Or let's put it this way. Maybe these two feminines were both soulmates to him to help him learn some lessons. I'm not sure like exactly what the Queen of Pentacles got out of it other than being called a villain, but she does end up with somebody who's right for her, and that Queen of Wands also shows up as a Queen of Swords and has terrific boundaries. This is one of those stories where I'm not saying it's exactly happy, but on the other hand, it really is, because lessons have been learned here. But it took a couple relationships for him to get the lesson that he needed. And it took him kind of messing up other people's energy to get the lessons that he needed. So that's why I would say that they somehow, these two feminines were like his teachers, whether or not these souls knew that that's what they were going to do for each other. You know, it's these souls helped him to get his lesson figured out. I'm literally picturing like two big sisters, like holding the hands of like a little brother who's like, you know, swinging, and they each have one hand and he's like keeping his feet up off the ground and swinging. And it's like, no, you got to walk, put your feet down. You got to walk. You just carry me. It's like, no, that's not the way we do this. You know, you have to do your work. That's what this feels like to me. Now, granted, this was romance, not sibling related, right? But I'm just saying, like, the equivalent of the childish behavior. We have that Tower in the reverse. I do not think this person wanted to learn their lessons. I do not think they had to crash out hard with two different people, at least two different people. They might have crashed out hard on a few other relationships prior to this, but they had to crash and burn a couple times before they finally said, I am the thing that it's me, huh? It is me. I'm the one who has to take accountability for my own self. Okay, it's time. You know, good for him. I mean, this is one of those stories where it's like, I mean, it's interesting to watch characters through the help of, you know, other soulmates, to watch them find their path and find, you know, the changes that they needed to make, even though it was at the expense of other souls helping him to evolve. But he did get there. So I guess what we could say is mission accomplished. It's just a different look at why some relationships even exist when it seems like it's painful or a train wreck. And now we can see, if we step back far enough, we can say, well, to their credit, this soul group kind of accomplished their mission. They helped one person get the lesson learned that they had to learn. So anyway, I'm going to leave that one there. That was a tough one. All right, you guys, thanks for being here. Really good to see everybody. Hey, Gabriella, good to see you. Ravi Paul, hey, how are you tonight? Neandria Rini, thank you for being here, honey. Great to see you. Hi, Anne. Polka Dot Suzanne, good to see you, honey. Know Thyself Oracles with Linda J. Wonderful to catch you tonight. Astrofuck, great to see you. Hi. Thank you again, Sandy. You're so generous. Thank you. Hey, Echo. Victoria, thank you again, honey. Sam Soprano, great to see you. Hi, Thalia. Monique B, great to see you. And EM, hi. Stephanie Ross is in the house. Thanks again, RT. All right, you guys, I'm actually probably going to wrap it up tonight. I'm sorry. I know I didn't get to all of the zodiacs. I was trying. I was aiming for it, but it is just not happening tonight. I'm going to still go lay low, and I probably Ravi Paul, you heard me. That's if you look through the comments, you'll see that is Astro's name. I didn't misspeak. Hey, Holly Light, 11:08. Thank you, guys. All right, I'm gonna go get a little bit more rest tonight because I'm still just not back to myself yet. I'm still just kind of drained, and so I'm trying really hard to just shake it off. But I always think I'll be back sooner than I am. So forgive me that I need a little bit more time tonight, but I will see you guys again tomorrow, and I will do as many as I have breath for. So, all right, you guys, lots of love. Thank you, guys. Bruce Reed, hi. Wonderful to see you, honey. Hi, Sabrina. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Polka Dot Suzanne, you angel. Sweet dreams, everybody.